Good evening, everybody. The partisan witch hunt known as the Russia investigation now has a special counsel joining the circus created by the House and Senate Intelligence Committees and the recusal of the Attorney General. And in all of this, the venal madness of the Dems and the deep state worsens, grows more vicious and troubling by the day. Only now, the close relationship between special counsel Robert Mueller and fired FBI Director James Comey is drawing greater scrutiny, even as Republican leaders on Capitol Hill have been complicit in Mueller's service as special counsel. Despite that relationship, they've said nothing. Now Mueller is building a legal team that is filled with Democrats. At least 4 prominent members of the special counsel team have donated to the Democratic presidential campaigns and Democratic organizations, according to federal election filings. Neither Speaker Ryan nor Majority Leader McConnell have called for Mueller's removal, despite the obvious range of conflicts of interest, or for that matter, has the Trump White House or Justice Department. President Trump is now building up his legal team in response, hiring his personal attorney, Mark Kasowitz, to lead the president's lawyers, and highly respected Jay Sekulow of the American Center for Law and Justice joining the Trump team last week. Sekulow is not ruling out the possibility of firing Mueller.
The President of the United States, as we all know, it's a unitary executive. But the President is going to seek the advice of his counsel, and inside the government as well as outside. And I'm not going to speculate on what he will or will not do.
Jay Sekulow joins us here tonight to talk about how the White House can win over the Dems and the deep state in this broadening, deepening conflict between the establishment and the left and the presidency of Donald J. Trump. And have the Dems, the left, and the deep state already crossed the line into subversion? First, what to expect in the clash between Attorney General Jeff Sessions and the Dems and the left on the Senate Intelligence Committee tomorrow in what is sure to be an historic, dramatic hearing tomorrow afternoon. Attorney General Sessions will testify in what will be an open hearing before the Intel Committee about his role in the Russia investigation and fired FBI Director Comey's sleazy insinuations about the Attorney General. The Attorney General, one of the most respected senators to serve in the Senate over the past 2 decades. Fox News Chief White House Correspondent John Roberts has the latest for us.
Well, Lou, I got to tell you, there's no such thing as a dull day here at the White House, but what happened today pales in comparison to what's expected tomorrow.
We have much great news to share with the American people today.
President Trump meeting for the first time with his full cabinet today, seeking again to put his agenda back on track after last week's focus on infrastructure was derailed by the James Comey testimony.
Together, we're working every day, and we've been working very hard together for our country, to protect their safety, bringing back jobs into our country, and putting always America first.
But the president threatens to be overshadowed again. At the same time he promotes apprenticeships and jobs in Waukesha, Wisconsin tomorrow, his Attorney General Jeff Sessions will be testifying in open session before the Senate Intelligence Committee. In a statement, the Department of Justice said, quote, "The Attorney General has requested that this hearing be public. He believes it is important for the American people to hear the truth directly from him and looks forward to answering the committee's questions tomorrow." President Trump thought and continues to believe it was a mistake for Sessions to recuse himself from the Russia investigation. But to hear the press secretary tell it today, the president has no issue with Sessions testifying in a public setting.
I think the president's been clear last week in the Rose Garden that he believes that the sooner we can get this addressed and dealt with, that there's been no collusion. He wants this to get investigated as soon as possible and be done with it so he can continue with the business of the American people.
And another distraction for President Trump today, as the attorneys general of Maryland and the District of Columbia filed suit against him, insisting his continued stake in his vast business empire violates the emoluments clause of the Constitution.
Never in the history of this country have we had a president with these kinds of extensive business entanglements, or a president who refused to adequately distance themselves from their holdings. President Trump's businesses and his dealings violate the Constitution's anti-corruption provisions, known as the emoluments clauses.
The lawsuit, filed in Maryland's federal district court, claims the president's ownership in properties like the Trump International Hotel in D.C. harms the state and district, saying, quote, the defendant has used his position as president to boost this patronage of his enterprises, and foreign diplomats and other public officials have made clear that the defendant's position as president increases the likelihood that they will frequent his properties and businesses. The press secretary today dismissed the suit as nothing more than a political attack against the president.
It's not hard to conclude that partisan politics may be one of the motivations behind the suit. The suit was filed by 2 Democratic attorney generals. The lawyers driving the suit are an advocacy group with partisan ties.
While the Attorney General will testify in open session tomorrow, what's unclear is how much he is willing to talk about private conversations he had with the president and whether the White House will invoke executive privilege if the senators try to make Sessions answer questions that he doesn't want to. Lou?
John, as you say, never a dull day. John Roberts from the White House. A stunning admission by the left, Senator Dianne Feinstein calling for an investigation into former Attorney General Loretta Lynch, one of the country's leading Democrats and member of the Obama administration. Senator Feinstein said that, like Comey, she too would have felt queasy by Lynch's request to refer to the Clinton email investigation as a quote-unquote matter.
I would have a queasy feeling too, though, to be candid with you. I think we need to know more about that. And there's only one way to know about it, and that's to have the Judiciary Committee take a look at that.
And to know more about so many matters of the Obama administration should be a goal as well, I think. Our first guest tonight is here to set the record straight on fired FBI Director Comey's leaking and the opportunity ahead for the Attorney General to set the record straight in tomorrow's open hearing. Joining me, a member of the President's legal team, Jay Sekulow, also Chief Counsel of the American Center for Law and Justice. And great to have you with us, Jay. Let's start with, at this point, we are watching 2 committees, the House and Senate Intel committees.
Right.
They produced absolutely no evidence. They have produced a witness in James Comey,
Yep,
who has made ridiculous allegations, but who has produced more evidence against himself than anyone else. What are you to do?
Well, look, it was look, James Comey, who's not exactly been a credible witness on congressional testimony on multiple occasions, but let's look at the facts. What do we know from that hearing? We know that President Trump was never under investigation for any of this, so he was never subject to investigation. We know from James Comey's written testimony also that the president did not, in the former FBI director's view, try to stop this Russia probe or obstruct justice with regard to the Russian probe. And we know that James Comey leaked the material that he obtained in his capacity as the FBI director, by the way, utilizing an FBI computer and utilizing an FBI vehicle to get him back to his office, stored this memorandum in his FBI desk, and then decided to leak it to a friend of his who would leak it to the New York Times for one purpose. And that purpose was to draw a special counsel, who happens to be the special counsel that now has been drawn. That's Bob Mueller. So, I mean, you look at what's happened here, and it raises a whole host of issues. And then, as you just said just moments ago, you've got I think Senator Feinstein was exactly correct. The idea that if what the FBI director is saying is correct, that the Attorney General of the United States, then Loretta Lynch, said, do not call it an investigation, call it a matter. The IRS doesn't deal with matters, they deal with investigations. And this tells you, and as Dianne Feinstein said, it looks like a political move at that point. And
it is. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be construed no other way. And to come into alignment with the Obama administration and the Clinton campaign and Hillary Clinton herself, of course, so that she could say there's no investigation. It is, I think, remarkable and noteworthy and commendable that Senator Feinstein, unfortunately alone, but she should be commended for having recommended an investigation.
Absolutely.
It hasn't happened from any other quarter. Let's turn to what the president is going to do here. He is surrounded by he is being attacked by the deep state, by the left, by the Democratic Party. The Republican leadership of both the House and the Senate are rolling over like trained dogs. And it is, to me, absolutely contemptible that this president, working as hard as he is, taking on the establishment, the orthodoxy, the status quo, is then effectively having to deal with what are at best neutral parties who should be partners against this onslaught.
Well, look, it's a media filibuster that's going on right now, Lou. I mean, all of this tumult that's being created. I mean, so far we've had all these witnesses have testified, leaders of the intelligence community, the FBI director himself, James Clapper, and they said, well, there's no evidence. Senator Warner, no, we haven't seen any evidence of a violation. We haven't seen any evidence that points to collusion, whatever that is, by the way. So you look at this and you say, what is it? So they're trying to interfere with the president's agenda. Now, yeah, I don't care if you're right, left, or center. Elections have consequences, no matter which way you went on this. I mean, elections have consequences. So the president was elected to be the president of the United States, and he's working on his agenda. There's no question about that. But these distractions, and that's what they are, I think fall on a very difficult position for the United States. And that's what I'm concerned about here. I think this is hurting the United States and our standing to have this going on. You want to investigate, my goodness, the House and Senate wants to investigate. Then they wanted the special counsel. Now they've got a special counsel. But here's an interesting issue, Lou. The special counsel allowed James Comey to testify before the Congress. So I take it because of the rules on all of this, then James Comey's not a witness against the president because there is no investigation against the president. That's what it gets lost in all this, yeah.
It is frankly, it's madness what we're watching unfold here. But to me, it rises significantly to the question, at what point do the Dems, the left, the deep state cross the line into subversion, and have they already crossed it?
Well, look, I mean, if you had we know go back to the security leaks, Lou, and we had all those security leaks going on, and where did they come from? Has the FBI, hopefully by now they've been paneled a grand jury and they're investigating this. The president made it very clear that he wants the leaks stopped. So the leak, and we know, of course, now one of the leakers was James Comey. That raises a whole different issue, of course, we just talked about. But the leaks, those involved in subverting the interests of the United States government, when they conduct those leaks, those are crimes, and they need to be investigated and prosecuted. And my theory is you prosecute a couple of those, and guess what happens? It stops the leaks. So that's what needs to be looked at here. And I'm hopeful that the administration is going to focus on that. The Attorney General is testifying tomorrow. This is a man, as you said, that's had a distinguished career in the United States Senate, someone I call a friend, and he will testify with integrity and honor, and that's what I think we'll see tomorrow.
Absolutely. And, if there is collusion, somebody's looking toward Russia. The fact is the collusion amongst the national left-wing media, the Democratic Party, the left, the deep state, against this presidency is the collusion that should be fully investigated, in my opinion, prosecuted.
Investigate that. There you go.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate
it. Jay
it. Thank you.
We're coming right back. Much more straight ahead. Stay with us.